to the left a little bit.
You're live. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a episode of Positive Vibes. I have here with me the Meltons, the money coaches. So thank you guys for tuning into Positive Vibes on this morning. I'm just going to do some things really quick on the side to make sure that we are streaming live to everybody. So first, I would like to say thank you for tuning into Positive Vibes with me this morning. Let's talk about yourselves, what you've been doing, and how long you've been investing. Introduce yourself.
Good morning, Tracy. First of all, thank you for having us. Brian and Tawonna Melton. I've been licensed in this industry now for 8 years. Of course, been investing a lot longer than that. I decided that I wanted to work in an industry that I can be a blessing to people. I always tell people I never profess to want to be a pastor, but just want to be a blessing. So I realized only 2% of the population have these licenses, and I want to make sure that I can, help people in my community become properly protected, debt-free, and financially independent. So that's why I'm licensed in this industry, just to be a blessing to people. Introduce my wife. My wife has a medical background. I'll let her introduce herself. And she's my rib. We do this together. You understand? When two or more come together, you can be a lot more impactful. So introduce my wife, Tawonna.
So good morning. So thank you so much. Again, Tawonna Melton. And like my husband said, one of the things is to be able to impact communities. In healthcare, I'm able to help families, help patients, but here as well in the finance industry, I'm able to do the exact same thing where I educate in the community about financial principles a lot of us were not taught. So just being able to still be able to be a blessing, but in the finance industry.
Amen. So let's talk investing. Let's talk money coaching, because we know in this day and age and where there's COVID, a lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people are losing their houses and their investments, that they put all their money into saving up for. Let's talk investments. Money coaches, what is needed? And then we know on top of that, the stimulus checks are out. People are shopping. What advice can you give those stimulussers, shall I say? And also there's unemployment checks being cut, $300 a week or more. There's a lot that can be done. As professionals in the investing and money coaching arena, what can be done to help a family monetize on these stimulus checks and these unemployment checks?
Tracy, I take that serious because I realize that the government, they're giving people stimulus checks because they want you to go shopping with that money. They want to stimulate the economy. And I feel like when you get a stimulus check, you need to make that money make money for you. There are three types of people, right? They're the less fortunate, people who are maybe less fortunate. They look at money as a way just to pay bills, right? And then the middle class, they want to pay bills on time and have a great credit score. Mm-hmm. Wealthy, they look at money as a way to make more money. So with the stimulus check, I guarantee you, if you take that stimulus check and start an investment with that money, you'll see that money is growing for you instead of giving it right back to the government, giving it right back to the wealthy as far as shopping and things like that. So I think we need to stimulate our households with a stimulus check instead of stimulating the economy, because the government will always give banks a bailout, but they don't bail us out.
Amen. And so now since we're talking about that and them getting their money back, how are they getting their money back?
Oh, because of course the government wants to fuel the economy. They want to make sure that people are spending money, right? Because if you're spending money, that makes the economy look better. So I don't think that we need to be walking billboards for these labels and shopping. I think we need to buy shares in these companies. So you need to be investing instead of spending money on things that you really don't even need.
Amen. So then let's talk about investing. How much money does one need to even get started?
That's huge, Tracy. And the thing is, I bring Wall Street to Main Street to middle class families. I can help somebody start an investment with as little as $50. Right? And people don't know that. They think you need to have hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars to start investing. The point is, you can start an investment with $50. Now, of course, you may not become financially independent by just putting $50 away, but that's still $50 that you're allowing to grow for you instead of sitting in the bank, not even getting 1% return on it.
Wow. And you know what? I did some finagling with different with different restaurants. And these are just restaurants that are on each corner in every neighborhood with, and I'm not trying to blackball any restaurants or anything like that. But however, a family of 4 can go to, restaurant, one of these fast food restaurants and buy $1 meals for everybody in the car, plus the, the drink and, all the other extras. And that's $50 right there. And if they stop if everybody didn't eat that day and they stopped 3 to 4 times, they're spending almost $150 that day. And you're talking about spending just $50 a month.
Yes.
To be able to invest in for your future of probably like 10 to plus years or more. How long should one invest?
Man, as long as they can. And and the thing with investments, like you just said, if you're spending money on food, that food's gonna be gone. The average US adult wastes between $200 to $500 a month. So Tracy's all about what people see value in. We weren't taught to invest. We were taught to go to school, get good grades so we can get a good job so we can have more money to spend. But nobody taught us how to make our money work for us. So As far as the time frame is concerned, I say you need to start investing as soon as possible. If you're 18 years old, you can start an investment account. And the thing is,
how can they go about
how can they go about what?
How can they go about starting an investment, the investment account? What steps do they need to make to see if they can not just start one, but be committed to do it? Because you can start it, but if you're not committing to do it, you can say, okay, I'm gonna start for $50, and then next month, a new game or something comes out, and they're like, I don't think I want to do that, and they pull it back. It's a commitment.
Yes, it's a commitment. Just like marriage is a commitment, exercise is a commitment. It doesn't make sense if you buy the membership to the gym but you don't go. But that's where you need an accountability partner. You need somebody like Tawonna and myself that's going to sit down and just show you how you have this disposable income. You have money just sitting around not making money for you. So the point is, I don't want you to have all your money going into investments. But again, the average adult wastes $200 to $500 a month. So we'll sit down and have a conversation, and then we'll be able to show you how putting this money away, how things will look for you 10 to 15 years from now.
And what are the risks what are some of the risks with investing that people are afraid of? What are some of the risks? And how can they overcome these risks by being knowledgeable in the fields of investing?
So the thing is, there are 3 D's of investing, right? There's discipline. You need to have discipline. You need to have diversification. You don't want all your eggs in one basket. And dollar cost averaging. So a risk could be like the market. Like, we can't control the market, right? But they say scared money doesn't make money. If your money's sitting in the bank, what people don't realize is that your money is not sitting in the back of a bank in a vault. When you put your money in a bank or credit union, that institution is taking your money and they're investing it in the global economy, right? So the thing is people say the bank is safe, right? Yeah, it's safe, but you're not making money. You want your money to make money for you. So you need to be investing in, like, I use mutual funds, right? Because it's diversified. All my clients' money is not in one basket. I'm not going to put all your money in one stock. I'm going to diversify your money in multiple stocks so that, your money is safer and is diverse.
Wow. So then with that said is, what are the, I know you said, you don't put all the money in one basket. And mutual funds is probably one of the better things to do when you're talking about investing.
Yes. Yes.
So tell me, how long have you guys been investment brokers? How long have you been in the business? So
I've been licensed now for 8 years. But of course, I started investing in 2000, like after I graduated from college, but it wasn't, I didn't know a lot about it. But someone sat down with me just because they wanted to get referrals, someone who was licensed in the industry. And I realized that I wanted to do this as well so that I can learn myself, make sure my family are better stewards with money. Again, we weren't taught these things in school. You're taught algebra, geometry, and things like that, but we're not taught about money. So that's why I got licensed.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. I know it's being used very well. Now let's talk about, for those who just don't even know, for those who think that, oh, I have a bank account, I'm getting some interest. Let's talk about the differences between a savings account and an investment account.
Okay. So your savings account is in the bank, right? You have a savings account. And I would always tell people, Tracy, to look at the rate of return that you're getting in your savings account. I mean, I had somebody tell me that their account is yielding 9%. And I said, listen, please look at that statement, because I guarantee you that 9 is on the right side of that decimal point. And for all my math scholars out there, any number on the right of the decimal point is still 0. So it's not a whole percentage. So you're not even getting 1% return on your money. Where investments in the global economy, mutual funds average 8 to 10%. So think about it. If you put your money in the bank is investing your money in the global economy, getting the 8 to 10%, if not more, because they could be more aggressive because more people will put money in the bank, and you get less than 1%. So that's just the education that's what I teach people when we sit down and have a conversation, because I'm not a salesperson. I want to educate first and implement second. So I'm going to educate people on those things and make sure they understand. Then once they see the benefit of it, then I'm licensed to implement what it is going to be a blessing to their family, because, your situation is different from someone else's. Everybody's not cookie cutter.
Right. So when you talk about mutual funds, you don't put all eggs in one basket. And I know I am an investor myself as well, and just got some great news on the other day regarding, one of my investments. So thank you for your education, and thanks for the spirit for allowing me to allow things to go in line, and for me to meet you, and for me to invest at the right time. So that's a good thing. So is there a such thing as someone customizing an investment package to invest in the companies that they want to invest in, or how does that work?
Okay, say that question again. You went out.
Is there I know there's like different investment packages that is given. Is there a way that someone can customize a package that they want to invest? Like, say for instance, and this is just a scenario that I'm just say for instance, if I love Prada, or if I love Nikes, and if I love BMWs or whatever, can I just invest in those companies that I buy, that are in my house? Can I do that?
Yes, you can. But the way that you go about that, Tracy, and same thing I did with you, basically you want to sit down and answer some questions so we can find out what type of investor you are, whether you're conservative, moderate, or aggressive, right? And then we'll go out and look at different fund families, and we're going to find an investment portfolio that meets your desires, your needs. And then we can look through that portfolio to see that the companies that's listed in that portfolio, to make sure they're companies that you believe in. I do know it was one that you texted me about yesterday that you realized that place was opening back up, that you were happy that was a part of your portfolio.
Amen. And it's going to get bigger and bigger. I know it is. This just didn't happen just by happenstance. It's just like, oh, well, let me just bless her because she's investing. There's a whole lot of things that go into that with faith too, because you can't go into investment and not have no faith.
Right, that's true.
You can't do anything without faith, to be honest with you. I mean, you can't. Like marriage, it was faith. You know what I mean? You being a man of God and her being a woman of God, you knew what you were looking for. You knew God was going to give you the desires of your heart. And then as you guys proceeded on to your matrimonial lives and in unity, it took two to tango. And by God's grace, He's blessed you with your rib. And look at you guys now.
Right. But it took
so let's talk about investing in being married. I'm sorry. It was a little delay.
No, I was just saying it took 3 to tango, because my wife always says we have to keep God in the midst. Right. We have to keep God in the midst, because we can't do it ourselves. Right. Amen. We've been around each other for 30 years, married for 19 years. So
that's awesome. I know you guys look back at your pictures when you were young and just started getting married. Y'all probably have a whole bunch of stories, huh? I bet you do.
Yes.
So let's talk about investing as a couple being married versus investing being single? What are the benefits?
That's easy. You have more money to pool together. If you're single, you have no one else to invest with. My wife and I sit down together and we started investments together, and it's just more money that we can pool together because it's two incomes coming in.
And Tracy, the most powerful thing is that, we weren't taught financial principles. And so the powerful thing is that once you have information, I always say you should always be willing to share it and to be able to be a blessing. And so this information we were not taught. I know for myself, it was, of course, make sure you have a savings in case of an emergency should occur. But in reality, yes, you have a savings account, but in order for real emergencies or to make your money grow, again, back to what my husband stated, you do need to have a form of an investment, to make sure for those emergencies or preparing for retirement. And so the thing is, if you know better, we should do better, right? And so the one thing is when you talk about investing together, yes, we did invest separately, but like Brian said, when two or more come together, it's way more powerful. But again, there may be some single people that's here, that's listening, that's not married. But again, if you have information, you should always be willing to share it. If we know better, we should do better. And so again, even if you're not married, does not mean, make your money work for you. I always say, you work hard for your money, but make your money work for you. You realize that most people, when you look at statistically, when you look at that, most people have less than $25,000 in their retirement. $25,000 in retirement. And when you sit back, and we see this all the time, Tracy, we see it all the time. People retire, and then you ask the question, are you going to be able to stay retired? Retirement is not going and getting another job. Most people who go and get another job I always say this, you can probably count on one hand how many people are probably maybe say, hey, I want to volunteer, I just want to stay active. But for the most part, when you see people, in the stores or walk in Walmart or other places, 6 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock at night, and you look and say, well, they should be enjoying themselves, you can't convince me that they're bored. It's simply because I need to live. And so it's because, again, it goes back to, we were not educated about those principles. We were not educated about those principles. And that's why we're helping in communities build a strong financial house, because it starts with the foundation, Tracy. It really starts with the foundation. I know we're talking about investments and things like that, but it starts with the foundation. See, when you talk about building a strong financial house, any house, is built on a strong foundation if it's going to stand, right? And so when we talk about that, we help families with more than just, income investments. We help families with income protection. One may say income protection. Well, we call it income protection because Brian always says this, I can't protect your life, but loss of life, I always say loss of life and income is both devastating. So life insurance, making sure you have things in place outside of your job. You understand that right now, Forbes says 10 million people are still unemployed.
Wow.
10 million people are still unemployed, Tracy. So a lot of times you say, oh, I have something on my job. That's awesome. As a nurse, the hospital offers me something as well. But guess what they offer me, Tracy? They say your income maybe plus 10%. Do you understand that would not sustain? We have 3 children. That wouldn't sustain our lifestyle, where if Lord forbid something should happen, Brian would not be able to sustain our style of living and maintain our children.
Wow.
And I don't have a copy of that policy. I just know when I worked at the hospital, that's what they said I had. My husband, I couldn't give that to him, a policy, and say, well, Brian, this is what I have from the hospital. I just know what the hospital tells me. But see, we help families with the foundation, which is life insurance, income protection is what we call it, making sure you have something that you own, that you have a copy of in your hand. And so that's one of the things when you talk about building a strong financial house, that foundation has to be strong. And so we educate first before implementation. We always educate and making sure you know what you have. Some people say, oh, I have something. Well, guess what, Tracy? Guess what? Just like when you build a house and you've been in your house for years, you may have to replace the windows. You may have to replace the roof. So again, we educate first about principles that, again, we were not taught, and we continue to build that house. And then Brian helps building with emergency accounts. And so we continue to build that house.
Well, I want to talk about life insurance, and I want to talk about the emergency accounts too. Now, I know life insurance is something that, a lot of people don't have. Well, just saying, let me say this. That a lot of people they don't know about, they're not educated about, but when someone passes for whatever reason, you see these GoFundMe accounts get set up, because, there's the life insurance policies. How important are life insurance policies?
Very important, Tracy. They say 85% of widows lose their home because their breadwinner passes away. And that's the reason why I don't say life insurance, like my wife said. I say income protection, because it's the income that's lost that's devastating to a family. Earlier, you asked me about what's the power of two people investing together, because you have more money to invest because you're pooling your money together. Same thing there. Most times these days when families make decisions, it's based on two incomes. So if you have a young family, high debt, a mortgage, the loss of income will be devastating in their household. They say, again, 85% of widows lose their home because the breadwinner passes away. So the thing is, you want to make sure you have your income protected so your family has the same standard of living, if not better, when you pass away. Because it's not a if, it's when. So you want to make sure you have that taken care of. It makes no sense that people have insurance on the cell phone. That's replaceable. I think it's sad that it's a law you have to have car insurance when that's still materialistic, right? And you can replace a car, but you can't replace your life. You cannot replace your life. And that's also another awesome way to transfer generational wealth. I've spoken to people in different communities, and what they do is they pull their money together and put a policy on the oldest person, maybe $1 million policy. And that person passes away, they use that money to help the next generation. And they keep doing that over and over again. But that's not something that I've ever heard of growing up in my community. So it's definitely important. You want to make sure that income is protected. Your family, I tell people, that your family should not have to grieve and worrying about paying the bills. You're going to grieve, but you want to make sure you have things in place.
Amen. Absolutely. Now, Tawonna, I want to get back to you being a nurse on your job and with COVID and things like that. And, with COVID and, a lot of nurses, being right there in the midst of this disaster, this pandemic, and not even knowing, because it was so unknown about COVID, you being there, right there on site with patients and things like that. How important was it to you to make sure that you had investments outside of your job because of COVID? Not just because of COVID, just because of being a nurse. I mean, anything can happen. You can come in contact with people having who knows what, what I mean? Not just COVID. So how important was it to you as a nurse and making sure that you had investments outside of your job, as well as for people that are in the same boat as you as a nurse?
Absolutely. Wow. That's actually a good question, because, Tracy, this pandemic was unforeseen. No one was prepared for it. And so the thing about it is things happen and we don't know when it's going to happen. Just like Brian said, we don't know the day or the hour that God may say, I call you home, right? We didn't know. A lot of people were not prepared for this pandemic. It was definitely unforeseen. It definitely shook the healthcare industry because you weren't prepared for it. And so anytime that you're not prepared for something, of course, it shakes you. You start scrambling around and trying to figure things out. You cut corners and things like that. And that's a great deal of what happened in the healthcare industry. Corners were cut. And so, you're cutting corners to make things happen because I didn't expect this to happen. And so one of the things I'm so very thankful is that, of course, on the job, you have, you may have your 401ks and things like that. But I'm so very thankful that my husband and I, started to invest and even help some of my coworkers as well, because, of course, when the market dropped, their money was protected. So the thing about it is just making sure that you, again, know who you're talking to, have an accountability partner. I thank God that he is licensed to help families with investments and kind of to guide our family, but also to be able to help others as well. And so not realizing, of course, during pandemics or during stressful times, the market, it drops. But if your money isn't protected, so you have to make sure you have somebody that has that knowledge. I'm thankful that Brian had that knowledge to make sure that our money was protected during this pandemic and to be able to educate others as well during the pandemic, which was, again, something unforeseen.
So as a nurse is probably watching this, Tawonna, what should a nurse do right now who is, doesn't know what she should be doing right now? What things should she come to you with as far as investing to make this a smooth transition of her? What should she come to?
Well, so one of the things is just being able to have that conversation. Again, having that conversation, educating yourself. As healthcare professionals, we educate a lot. We educate our patients. We educate clients. And so the thing is, but educating ourselves in the finance industry, but having somebody that has that knowledge. Again, my husband, he has that knowledge. And so healthcare is definitely something that we know how to educate our patients. We know how to educate our patients about making sure they take the right medications and do things like that, and why they should take the medications and making sure you do X, Y, and Z, right? And so we hold them accountable, right? And say, we're going to follow up with you. But that's what a money coach does. They hold us accountable. They educate us, right? They educate us about principles where we were not taught. And then we can also go to them and say, well, hey, what do you think about this? Or tell me about that, and be able to ask questions just like our patients do. And so for me, it's hand in hand.
Amen. Now let's talk about this emergency.
I'm sorry.
Something just popped up on my screen. I'm sorry. I just had to shut it down real quick. So let's talk about this emergency thing, because right now it is an emergency, because what happens when the stimulus payments stop?
Stimulus. That's stimulus. That's stimulus. So when you think about an emergency account, for someone who's a homeowner, if you need a new roof, or something happens to your appliances, you want to make sure you have money that you can just pull that, allows you not to need a credit card. Because when I think about an emergency account, basically I'm just helping people so they don't have to depend on that plastic money. Because credit cards were established to help you build credit, not to buy things you can't afford. So you hear people saying you need to have 3 to 6 months of your income for a single person, six months to a year if you're married and have a family. But as far as emergency account, that's basically just saying I have this money that's growing, that's not just sitting in the bank. In case an emergency happens, I can pull from there and not have to touch, the money in my checking account.
Wow. It was told, I remember this in class, not in class, in school, they were saying you should have about 3 to 6 months worth of monies in your emergency funds or in your savings. Now, since the pandemic, people had that, but it's gone. What's the new medium?
I'm gonna say 6 to 12 months. I'm gonna say 6 to 12 months because, of course, the economy is different now. People are losing jobs, getting laid off. I think it's definitely sad that during this pandemic, they shut stores down. I mean, it's a very popular, fancy store that's in a big mall here in Baltimore. In fact, 3 stores that they closed down because of the pandemic.
Wow.
And that's definitely dangerous. So people are, losing jobs. It's just you just want to have 6 months to a year I would say, not just 3 to 6 months.
And one more question I have, and I know you guys have a lot to tend to today. Because the world is opening back up right now, there's people, jobs are opening up. So what should someone go into a job, when they're getting a full-time blessing? What should they do going into the job because companies sometimes they match, their investments and things like that, 401ks and all things. What should they go into? What questions should they have on their notepad when they're going into a company and they're talking about, do you want to invest in IRAs and 401ks? What should they go in to make sure they're doing the right thing and they won't be caught, blindsided by, losing their job and not investing, but using the investment tools that their job has for them?
So actually, you just said it. I mean, if someone was talking about the job, you want to find out if they're matching what you're putting in and what that percentage is, right? And then, find out if you can start and stop it at any time. Sometimes they have it where you have to wait until the next open enrollment if you make changes. So those are just questions you want to find out. And then I always tell people that you should be investing outside of the job. Think about this, Tracy. If you have a business and you hire someone and they're an awesome employee, are you going to set them up with a retirement that's going to help them leave sooner or later? That was a question.
That's your question. Is that a trick question?
No.
Well, I mean, honestly, I would want to see them thrive. I would hopefully they would invest in the company. They would do that and also do something else. Because who's to say? The company may fall for whatever reason. I don't know.
You're a child of God and you're a blessing to people, so that's why you answer that question that way. But most times, if you're a good employee, they want you there 30 or 40 years. So they're not going to have a retirement plan that's going to help you leave sooner than later. You understand? So you have to be investing outside of work. You need multiple streams of income coming in for retirement. Retirement is a four-legged stool. You should have 4 sources of income coming in.
Amen. Well, Brian, we do have your information down here, scrolling at the bottom of the screen. How long does one of the sessions take for, when people want to get to know about investing? How long does the session take?
Well, I would probably need 20, 30 minutes, just to wait so I can explain to people how things work. And then after that, I'll find out what's best for them. So, when you and I talked about investing, I think that was like 30 minutes. Hour at the most, just depends on the questions you have, because, and then also, and my wife, she hinted on it a little bit, but once you turn 45 years old, there are investment products out here that help you to protect your retirement, to make sure that if the market does go down, that your money's protected to a certain degree. So those are things I like to talk to people about as well. If someone leaves one job and go to another, you want to roll over, that money from the previous employer, especially if they were matching, because now they're not matching anymore because you're no longer employed there. So sometimes you say that's like being in a relationship with somebody and you break up and y'all had a joint bank account. Are you going to leave your money in that account with their ex?
No, nada. Well, so you said at age 18 is when you should start investing. Is there anything that kids can do when they're under 18?
Yes, my youngest client is 15 years old, but what it is that her mom has a bank account. There were both of their names on it. So basically, the daughters add money to that account, but then when she becomes an adult, she'll just take over the account.
Awesome. Well, it looks like Brian and Tawonna, they should be giving you guys a call today if they want to get more information. I'm glad I'm an investor now, and I thank you for, educating me. And I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to do what I need to do. And also, I want them to call you. You guys are the experts. I'm gonna move to the side and let you guys do what you do on today, on this Friday. I don't want to hold you long, but thank you so much for being a part of Positive Eyes and spreading some positive money news to those who stand in need of it. And you know what, guys? Chill out on those the stimulus and the unemployment checks. Contact, these brokers and these money changers and make it happen. Definitely. Are you guys available today? What's your hours of operation?
Well, actually, that right there depends on what time zone someone's in. But the thing is, if you call us, we're available. We're going to take the call. We're not 9 to 5. I've done appointments with people at 9, 10 o'clock at night. Tawonna works in the medical field. Some nurses work 7 a to 7 p. They get off at 7 o'clock, get home, shower, and they want to have a conversation 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night. So that is possible. And the thing is, we just want to be a blessing to everybody. And also, if I could add one more thing, there are people out here these days, Tracy, who are getting part-time jobs, working an extra 20 hours a week just to bring home $500 a month. So I'm also looking for people who, at least 18 years old, who don't have a felony. They want to get licensed in the industry as well, because I can help them with that. I can offset the cost that it would be to get licensed. So I'm definitely just, want to put that out there as well, because I'm not in the business of helping people spend money if I can't help you make money as well.
And how long would it take for them to get their license?
Depends on how long it takes them. You have to get a background check done. Your background check is good for 18 months. So I'm good.
Hey, well, it sounds like there's like opportunities going out the wazoo today in regarding investing, job opportunities, and working from home. I mean, come on.
Yes.
Being COVID-19 free.
Yes. As long as you have internet access and you can use Zoom or something like that, you can work from home.
Well, guys, this is it. We have our money changers here, Brian and Tawonna Melton. The information is there. You can contact them. For those who can't read, and I'm not being crazy, but for those kids, 443-252-3852. Email them at btmoneycoaches@gmail.com. Any more, Tawonna, that you want to leave them on a good note, woman of God?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. Brian and I never take lightly the opportunity to share with people what we do and to be able to be a blessing. And like I stated earlier, if you have information, you should always be willing to share it. And to be able to be an impact player in the community. And so for me, it's always, and for us, it's being change agents in the community and being a blessing to others and helping families build a strong financial house.
You guys have a powerful relationship, I can tell, and I can feel the anointing in the room. I hope that you guys are inspiring. Well, I know that you guys are inspiring the singles, the one to be married, and those who are married to invest together and not be selfishly, not be selfish in the marriage and invest together. That's what it's all about. It's all about the union, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, and Brian, do you want to leave them with something? Man of God.
Yes, thank you very much, woman of God. So for me, Tracy, just leave people with the fact that, a coach wants to open up the potential of your future. Right. And then financially, being money coaches, I just want to educate people to make sure that they can make better decisions financially for their future. So that's the business I'm in. That that's what I thrive upon. I can go to bed at night knowing I was being a blessing to somebody, and I just want to educate first. So thing is, I want to just have conversations with people, meet them where they are, and just help them reach whatever their financial goals are.
Amen. Well, enough said. Hey, we did what we were supposed to do. We shared. Now it's for people to receive it, and let's make this thing popping, this investment thing popping. Because I'm gonna get mine. I'm gonna let y'all know how it's working out for me. I'll keep you posted. And Brian and Tawonna, you all are welcome here anytime. Have a blessed Friday. Thank you so much.
You too.
Have
a blessed day.
All right, and Tawonna, send me that jacket.
You got it.
All right, thanks.